Once again, hi folks. My name is D.A. King. I don't see too many unfamiliar faces, but I'm always happy to be here, and I appreciate the time Michael has allowed me to speak. I always try to put a little bit of levity at the beginning of my presentation, so for the people who do not know me, I use my initials D.A. because my mother named me Donald Arthur King, which makes me Don King. And I was very concerned years ago about being confused with the very famous boxing promoter, and he with me, so I use my initials. I came today, as I have over the course of the last, I think, 8 or 9 years, to talk about immigration. And I used to start out by saying I came to talk about illegal immigration to differentiate those two issues. I don't do that anymore because they are not separate issues. What I'm going to do is give you a few facts, and my hope for today was to have a very long period of question and answer or discussion. So Michael's the boss, but if you decide to leave the camera on for the answers to the questions, that would suit me just fine. A couple of things right off the bat. Is there anyone here who does not know that the United States of America takes in more real legal immigration than any nation on this planet? If you didn't know that, raise your hand. Okay. Well, we do. We take in more legal immigration than any other country. As far as I'm concerned, we take in far too many legal immigrants every year. We are not seeing the assimilation that we were taught as youngsters that should happen. We are no longer seeing that people come into our country and immediately strive to adapt our language and the American traditions. We are becoming balkanized, and I'll argue with anybody all day long that somehow is not true. We are now being covered up by ethnic advocacy groups, all of whom represent their own special interest, and they are forming coalitions with the business community that also wants to have more immigration. Now, why would anybody want more immigration into this country?
Drive down the pay?
It is, in fact, to get the cheapest possible labor wage that anybody could imagine. There is a rock bottom labor wage. Years ago, Michael and I would talk about, or we would talk about here, about something that is still there, but it's now back in the shadows. And that is the plan by a large number of political, academic, and media elite to create the free flow of labor here in North America to match the free flow of goods, services, and people that is the NAFTA agreement. Excuse me, goods and services. The object here is to create the free flow of labor so that you can hire someone who's from the third world dirt poor country and he'll work at the wage that you select as an employer, as opposed to a free market system where you have actual immigration and employment laws that are actually enforced. A lot of people ask me, from where does most immigration come? And I'm going to quote something from the Department of Homeland Security, and it just came out in March. I think I've done this here before, but I grow very, very weary, and I'm kind of burned out, so forgive me. I've been doing this a long time. I grow weary of somebody standing up in a room after I speak or during when I speak and say, DA, I appreciate your speaking about illegal immigration, but as long as it's legal, I'm for immigration. And these are people who are terrified of being called a name, and these are people who don't know anything about immigration except for that we're, quote unquote, a nation of immigrants. Well, we aren't. We're a nation of laws, and I double dog dare anybody here to find the word immigration in the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. It's not there. But when people say we should have all the legal immigration we can take, I disagree with them, and I'm going to start out with that and then get to illegal immigration. Excuse me. I'm going to give you a list of the top 20 sending countries of immigrants into this nation for 2012. And I want to take that split second to remind everybody that the word immigrant is sacred, I hope, to everybody. It is to me. My adopted sister is an immigrant who came here from Korea. My friend is an immigrant who came here from Russia. Okay. I don't care where you come from. As long as when people come here, they adopt to the American language and traditions, and that's not happening. What country sends the most immigration to the United States of America? It's Mexico, with nearly twice as many people as nation number 2. What is nation number 2? It's communist China. It goes like this. Excuse me. Mexico, the People's Republic of China, India, the Philippines, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, Vietnam, Haiti, Colombia, South Korea, Jamaica, Iraq, Burma, El Salvador, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Ethiopia, Nigeria, and tied with a difference of 16 souls between the two for 19 and 20 is Canada and Iran. Now I do that for a reason, because I speak to a lot of Republicans and I speak to a lot of people who are quite frankly quite arrogant, and they tell me that, well, we have to do something on immigration, DA, because the conservatives, they don't normally say conservatives, they normally say the Republicans need to do something to get more of the immigrant vote because Republicans are losing when it comes to minorities and immigrants. Well, they are. And I give you my solemn oath that if there isn't some discussion on a national level begun honestly and seriously about immigration, whether or not we're talking about illegal at the moment, this will continue, and I promise you that people who come here from third world countries, they come to work for low wages, but they're higher than they are at home, and they come because they know they can access a nearly unlimited entitlement system in this country. You are not going to get most immigrants, legal immigrants, to vote in the first or second generation for small government, low tax conservatives. It is not going to happen. Which brings me to the illegal immigration problem. This is a pretty educated crowd, so I'm not going to spend my normal 10 minutes of my time trying to explain what's going on. I can tell you that we have laws on the books that are being ignored, and then we have laws on the books that are being zealously enforced, and I'll give you an example. It is a crime in this country to knowingly employ somebody who's in the country illegally. That is a joke. Employers have a better chance of being struck by lightning than being sanctioned for hiring black market labor. Black market anything by definition is done to save a buck or two. Okay? We have between 20, 25 million, depending on whose numbers you accept for unemployment, we have somewhere around 20 million Americans, including the real legal immigrants who in good faith came into our country and obeyed our immigration laws and had their fingerprints taken and had the background checked and hired the lawyer, who are out of work or in an unemployment line because we have employers who would rather hire the black market labor so as to increase their profit margin. I'm doing that for a reason. If you have a lobby for every one of these groups, and there is in Washington a lobby, Ethiopian American lobby groups, the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund, founded by a man now deceased, I'm happy to report, named Mario Obledo, who says that in the 90s, he's on the radio saying that California will become a Hispanic state. We will take over the General Assembly, and anyone who does not like it ought to leave, comma. They ought to go back to Europe, end of quote. I don't have anything against Hispanics. I have something against that philosophy. And I'm telling you now that a supermajority by the Democrats is what goes on in the California General Assembly. So the words of Mario Obledo from the mid-90s on the air are coming true in California. I'm here to tell you that the reason our immigration laws are not being enforced is for money and political power. So when you get groups like the National Council of La Raza and MALDEF and the ACLU mixed up with the same goal as the Chamber of Commerce, the ag industry, the restaurant industry, and the hotel industry, you have a very, very powerful force that is opposing enforcement of the law. What's going on now in Congress is that there is a bill in the United States Senate that would offer near instant legalization to people who are here illegally. We are being told that number is 11 million. I can't help it. The line I always do when I get there is, if you believe there's only 11 million illegal aliens in this country, then you will believe that on the way home I'm going to stop and buy a hairdryer. I'm not. The number, I promise you, is closer to 20, and I can illustrate that quite easily. In the early 80s, we were told that we have a very serious illegal immigration problem, that there's people here illegally lowering our wages, taking our jobs, using our benefits, and it's a problem, and the only way we are going to solve it is if we give them an amnesty, because you can't round up and deport 1 million people by sundown tomorrow. The only answer must be legalization. Now, it took some time. It took 6 or 7 years in Congress, but eventually the straw argument that you can't deport somebody by sundown tomorrow, so the only other answer is a legalization program, won over because it was pushed so hard by the coalitions I just mentioned. Ronald Reagan signed a bill with the promise from Congress that we are going to legalize between 1 and 1.6. In no case will it be more than 1.6 illegal aliens. What happened was we legalized 3 million. So it's either 2 or 3 times as much as they told us. I know retired Border Patrol agents who came back to duty so that they could process the paperwork for the amnesty. A man named Bill King, he's in his late 80s now, but he had already retired from Border Patrol and gone back to the Reagan administration to process the paperwork in the Western Division for people applying for this amnesty program. I've sat down and had a couple of beers with Bill. I've been to the desert. I've stood on the border. He yelled at me when I climbed a 15-foot border wall. I can tell you that Bill told me, as did his buddies, that at least 30% of the documents that were presented by the illegal aliens were completely, notably, no doubt about it, false documents, and they were told, forget about the false documents, process these people and get them back into the workforce. We were told we're going to legalize 1.6. Now we're told we're going to legalize 11. Counting the document fraud and the fact that these numbers are probably half of what they are, you would easily legalize between 20, 25, maybe 30 million people. And I'm looking straight into the camera, and I'll argue with anybody about that. All right? But using the lowest possible number, using 11 million, with everything else that's in place in this bill, it's not just a legalization bill. It is something that will expand the entire immigration system. It is something that would nearly double one guest worker program called the H-1B visa. You can think about that as skilled labor if you want to. H-1B visas are for college graduates normally, who can come here and fill a job that an employer says he cannot find an American to work. I can't find an American to work, I need an H-1B visa worker. Well, please go on the Marietta Daily Journal website and see a video that I have put up on my blog where we have taped immigration lawyers doing a very large seminar with a very interested audience, where these immigration lawyers are teaching employers how to run fake ads without mentioning a wage, how to run fake ads with a goal of not hiring a qualified American worker. The quotes in there are astounding to people who do not study this issue. Excuse me. You can see on videotape, on the Marietta Daily Journal website, on the D.A. King blog, you can see lawyers explaining to employers how not to hire legal or even American labor, so that they can then apply for an H-1B visa and get a foreign worker to come here and work for a cheaper wage. H-1B visa is described as a temporary visa. Really, in the end, that visa holder can apply for a green card, so then you're adding to the immigration levels. Most of what I want to do today is try to get people to understand this. We are all weary, we are all worn out. Obama got elected, Obama got re-elected. You've got Common Core, nullification, you've got Benghazi, you've got everything, and we've all been bombarded with, please help me do this for so long. I am here to tell you that if this amnesty bill passes, you can take every single conservative issue for which you might have a passion and throw it out the window, because what will happen is if these people are legalized and immigration is expanded, if this bill were to pass as it is, you are going to add sometime in the next decade, 13, 15 years, whatever it is, 33 to 40 million, and I'm using low numbers, new voters. Now let me say it one more time. The majority, not all, the majority of these new voters are not going to rush down and go register with the local GOP to prove how conservative they are. Ain't gonna happen, okay? Romney lost his election, quite honestly, by a very slim margin, and I think he lost it because it was poor turnout. I went to a meeting the other day in which a man regarded as a political expert took a great deal of time to tell a bunch of Republicans that there's no such thing as the Republican establishment.
Oh, dear God.
If you don't think there's something called, or should be labeled as, a Republican establishment, look and see the multi-billions of dollars that have been devoted to PACs and political cover and radio ads to push another legalization program. Here's the deal. There is a semantics game going on. I think a lot of U.S. Senator Johnny Isakson, we are very, very far apart on this. I have been writing Johnny Isakson and trying to get an appointment with Senator Isakson for months, trying to get a straight answer. I have written many letters. I know a lot of other people who have written letters, and the question is very simple. Will you ever vote for another legalization? And a letter will come back saying, I'm against amnesty. All right? So let's do this. Let's all get on the same page. This bill, just like the bill from 2007 that we beat, this bill would remove the illegal status of nearly every illegal alien in this country nearly immediately. You could be illegal one day and legal the next. And they're playing a game, and the game is semantics. We're going to remove your illegal status. We're going to call it a provisional status. Registered provisional immigrant. That word is conjured up to give you some impression that, well, you know, we might change our mind, and having made you legal and gotten this bill through, you know, you better really watch out now, because we might remove your new legal status and make you illegal again. Hairdryer, folks. Ain't gonna happen. All right? So then, having removed the illegal status from millions of illegal aliens, they are then telling us, we're going to secure the border. No kidding. Forget about 1986. We're going to secure the border. And we're going to start a workplace verification program so that illegal aliens cannot be hired by illegal employers.
It's already a law.
We're going to put it into law, but the law means nothing. Here's what I'm telling you. In '86, we were told we're going to legalize these people, and then we promise we're going to secure the border, and then we're going to sanction the employers. And now it's fast forward to 2013 after very many more tries to repeat this. What we want to do here, folks, is we want to legalize the illegal aliens, and then, don't worry, we're going to secure the border, and we're going to start sanctioning the criminal employers. There's enough junk in this bill that we could do this all day, but just that. Please know that any action by Congress that officially removes the illegal status of someone who is here illegally is by any definition an amnesty. When you start talking about amnesty to a lot of politicians, including the office of United States Senator Johnny Isakson, you will always get It's not amnesty if we charge them a fine. It's not amnesty if we make them learn English. It's not amnesty if we make them pay back taxes. None of that will happen. But you don't want to get into the amnesty battle. I would plead with every single one of you, I'm going to hold up a phone number in a minute, that when you leave here, or we'll bring your phone at the end of the session and we'll type in some numbers, I am pleading with you to understand this and at least this. Unless the American people, us, start putting constant, merciless, polite pressure on elected officials in the United States Senate, this bill has an extremely good chance of passing. I've met too many people who say, DA, thank you very much, but it's so crazy, this would never pass. And they go on and they start worrying about Common Core. And I don't mean that Common Core is not important. I am telling you that you need to direct your laser-like focus on this immigration bill to kill it between now and probably the end of June. It will see a floor vote. It will come out of a Democrat-controlled committee. You need to know that the Republicans on the Gang of Eight are voting with the Democrats in the committee when there's an amendment put forward that would actually put border security measures in place before anybody was legalized. Those measures and amendments are voted down. And the Republicans are voting with the Democrats. The Republicans on the Gang of Eight. This is serious, folks. I'm telling you that we have to beat this bill in the Senate, and your part of this is to please, I'm pleading with you, I'll wash your car, I'll come paint your car. I am pleading with you to understand the basics of politics, and that is constant pressure. Anybody who's even read Saul Alinsky understands that even he has in there what works is constant pressure. I know that this is being taped, and I have every confidence that Chris Carr and Johnny Isaacson's office will watch it. Hi, Chris. Please call Johnny Isaacson's office twice a day, every day, from now until July the 4th, when everybody here who's going to the GOP convention at Jim R. Miller Park, the GOP 4th of July event, please do not go wondering, did I do everything I could to convince my own senator to not vote for this? Most of us are of the opinion that Senator Isaacson will set the tone not just for Senator Chambers, who's not running for re-election, but also for several other what are described as moderate senators. Right now, the idea is to stop the vote from getting to 60. 60 votes in favor gets this to the floor, gets this passed through the Senate. There's no doubt it's coming out of committee. Right now, we think they have somewhere around 55, 57 votes. Okay, I'm telling you. I want you to please listen to me. Please call Johnny Isaacson's office twice a day from now until the 4th of July. We remember 1986. We will not play the game of differentiating whether or not something is or is not amnesty. What we are against is any legalization. Couple of things. You're going to hear that the bill is going to make illegals learn English. That is a lie. You're going to hear that the bill will require legal aliens to pay back taxes. That is most of a lie. Most people envision, and the way it was presented intentionally, was that if an illegal alien is here and he hasn't been filing a federal income tax return, that this bill is somehow going to go back and make this guy file a return and pay taxes on money he's already earned. Now, think about that. Most illegal aliens, A, are using a stolen or fraudulent social security number. So there's two people at least using that number, the real person who owns it, and several other illegals. Most, or a lot of illegals are being paid off the books. You're not going to be able to figure out a system to make anybody pay taxes on money they've already earned unless they filed an income tax return. And please know that illegal aliens can in fact file an income tax return. They do that with a number that the Internal Revenue Service provides for that called an ITIN. That's not important right now. But when you hear that illegals can't pay taxes, That's wrong. So what we've been hearing for 10 years is we should legalize these people, they're hardworking, and they've been paying their taxes. And now we're being told we have to pass this legalization bill so that illegals can pay their taxes. What they do have in the bill is a discretionary event saying that if some illegal alien has actually filed a return in which he would actually owe taxes, and he has not yet paid those taxes, then they will kind of sort of look into forming a committee to make a decision on whether or not to make that illegal alien actually pay the tax that he's filed for. Most low-wage workers, especially in the illegal alien department, would qualify for an earned income tax.
That's wrong.
I'm trying to make you understand, this is a scam.
Right.
This is complete nonsense. I can go on and on. There's more exceptions and provisos and things per page in this than there was in Obamacare. There is a provision in this bill that will provide millions of dollars to organizations that are the same organizations responsible for holding the rallies and the marches in the streets. A non-profit organization like the National Council of La Raza, the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund. If you're familiar here with a character named Jerry Gonzalez and his Georgia Association of Latino elected officials, know this, that there's a provision in the bill that will take your tax dollars, my tax dollars, and give it to them so that they can help the illegals assimilate, teach them English, and get through the Amnesty obstacle course, which isn't going to be that difficult. But the language actually says that this money could be used as the organization sees fit. So here's what you're going to have. The English promise, false. The English provision simply says that the person applying for the green card, once they're legalized, they don't have to go any further. They can stay here from now on this quote-unquote provisional system. But if they want to apply for citizenship or a green card at some point in the future, then they're going to have to certify that they are participating in an English class. There's nothing in this bill, folks, that says somebody has to prove that he can speak, understand, and read English. It's just not there. The lies that are never going to be uncovered by the press are involved in this. This is the bill as it originally came out. The 2007 bill was only one volume. This is 2 volumes. This was 844 pages. They've added to it, and now it's 867 pages. It's a piece of junk. We're going to do some questions and answers. Before I forget, there's bumper stickers, and I really like it on that bag.
That's right.
There's bumper stickers that you are welcome to take home for free if you put it on your bag, which I didn't think of, or your car. Okay? I think it says it all. Marco Rubio has been sent out to sell a scam. And if he drops out, the bill falls apart. He's telling so many fibs that you can't believe it. Michael, question?
Yeah, thank you very much.